morning, we've got 9 schools in King County and Snohomish County closed because of fears over the coronavirus.
13 people have now tested positive in Western Washington. 2 of those people have died. These are the first deaths from coronavirus here in the United States.
And right now, 2 men in their 60s who tested positive are in critical condition. One, Valley Medical Center in Renton. The other is at Virginia Mason in Seattle. Both of them have underlying health problems, which makes it harder to fight the coronavirus off.
We are now in a state of emergency. Governor Inslee made the declaration over the weekend so that state agencies have the resources to prepare and respond to an outbreak.
And part of our team coverage this morning, Callie Greenberg outside that nursing home in Kirkland. But first, Amity Idrisi at Jackson High School in Mill Creek with 2 new school closures to report. Amity, good morning.
Good morning to you. Let's make that 3 new school closures. We just learned that Kingston High School in the North Kitsap County School District has closed its doors. They have learned that a student there is being tested for coronavirus. No confirmation on that, but they are closing the school as a precautionary measure. 2 more schools we've heard about this morning, both in the Mukilteo School District, Mariner High School, and Discovery Elementary School. Now, what we heard is that these schools have closed because of the fact that the parent of a Mariner High School student has tested positive for coronavirus. That student also visited Discovery Elementary, so that is why they're closing both of those schools, to make sure that everything is clean and that the other students stay safe. Meantime, I am standing outside of Jackson High School here in Mill Creek. They're closed today after a student has tested positive for the coronavirus here. We're told that he is isolated at home but is doing well. The student hadn't traveled, and so health officials aren't sure how he got the virus, or that student got the virus, but they did start feeling ill, stayed home from school, so luckily he had little contact with other classmates. But you can't be too careful, and that is why Jackson is closed today. Several other schools closing today as a precautionary measure and for deep cleaning. I'm going to list them for you right now. You can see them on your screen. Frank Love Elementary in Bothell, Hazen High School in Renton, Kentwood High School in Covington, Covington Elementary in Covington, Cedar Park Christian in Bothell, Lake Washington Institute of Technology. Now, a lot of people might be wondering about King County schools, including the biggest school district in the state, Seattle Public Schools. Right now, this is the statement they released on their Facebook page. They said, at this time, we are not recommending school closures or cancellation of activities, but will update should recommendations change. Now, we also want to mention tomorrow that the North Shore School District, all the schools will be closed for cleaning and training there as well. And it's important to note for all parents, in that initial press conference with health officials, they said that we should all be prepared for alternative childcare options because they did expect schools to start closing. So these are, again, precautionary measures. We're not talking about any outbreaks at any schools. These are just, again, steps being taken to keep schools clean and extra careful. I'm Amity Idrisi reporting live in Mill Creek, King 5 News.
Thank you so much, Amity. Seattle Public Schools says some Asian students are reporting being targeted and discriminated against because of coronavirus. The virus is thought to have originated in Wuhan, China. Seattle school administrators say this is unacceptable and contrary to our values of racial equity and social justice. It goes on to say we do not tolerate hate speech or acts of discrimination, and that COVID-19 is not connected to any race, ethnicity, or nationality.
The CDC is investigating the outbreak of coronavirus at that nursing facility in Kirkland, with 4 new cases reported over the weekend, including that one person who died. Callie Greenberg in Kirkland with an update.
According to Seattle and King County Public Health, 4 new cases of coronavirus have been confirmed, all from Life Care Center, a nursing home right here in Kirkland. Out of those 4 cases, 3 people are in the hospital right now in critical condition. A 4th individual, a male in his 70s, passed away on Saturday. This is the 2nd death in Washington state and the 2nd death in the United States as well. We're now learning a little bit more about people who may have come in and left the building and where this virus may have spread. Again, the only 4 confirmed cases, new cases, came from people directly inside the building. But today and tomorrow, the Lake Washington Institute of Technology campus will be closed while crews disinfect it. This is because 17 nursing students and 4 faculty members spent time with residents at the nursing home just last week. 25 Kirkland firefighters and paramedics who may have had contact with coronavirus patients. They are currently being quarantined. In fact, right now, if you head over to Fire Station 21, they're telling people with a sign on the door, do not enter. They've quarantined that entire fire station. 2 Kirkland police officers who responded to the Life Care Center, they are also under quarantine. That is purely as a precautionary measure. But the city of Kirkland did reassure people that they are running both departments at full staffing and responding to calls as they normally would. Lastly, today in Kirkland, city staff is going to be going through training. That means City Hall will open late at 10 a.m. In the training, they're going to be learning things like social distancing procedures as well as precautionary measures as things develop in Kirkland. As for the Life Care Center here, we know that the CDC is helping monitor and investigate what these cases and what other cases may come in the future. In Kirkland, Callie Greenberg, King 5 News.
Thank you, Callie. Not far away in Redmond, 7 paramedics are being quarantined. The city says, again, the use of words, it's out of an abundance of caution because of coronavirus. They also say the fire department is still fully staffed in case there are any emergency calls.
This morning, a female U.S. Postal Service worker in Federal Way who tested positive for coronavirus is recovering at home. The Federal Way postal facility has been cleaned, and the Department of Public Health is aware of the case.
Well, we want to make sure that you are informed but not cause hysteria, because the fact is there are a lot of things we don't know about the coronavirus. It's new to us all. So let's separate facts from fear. There have been 2 people who have died, as we've talked about so far, in Washington state. But so far this flu season, 74 people have died in Washington state. So nationwide, as many as 41,000 people have died because of the flu. With the current estimates in terms of coronavirus, that about 80% of us who might come down with it won't need to be hospitalized. It'll be like we suffer from the flu. You'll feel sick, but you won't have to go to the hospital. So what's with all the concern? Well, it is a new virus and there's no vaccine, unlike for influenza. It's also apparently more contagious than the flu. So your immune system kind of determines how well you do against it. So it's most dangerous for the elderly and anyone with an underlying health condition or someone who's in both of those categories. And as doctors sort everything out, we will make all that information available to you on king5.com in a special section. Just text the word virus to us and we'll text you back a direct link. Or if you just go to king5.com, it's one click.